what if your ideal was enlightenment? What are the steps? How do you know yourself and where you are now? How do you keep yourself updated and honest and not fall back into old habits or old images of yourself? It seems that everything is in evolution, and even your practices and the way you worship and the way you approach something. So the practices are there to help you evolve and to help control the mind and bring your emotions and cultivate them and allow that imagination to image you in the way you want to be and bring it into manifestation. So they're there as to make the manifestation happen, the practices. So you can have an ideal, but how does it come into being? How do you get to that place where you know yourself, where you're enlightened from all the burdens that you carry, all the past ideas? But then how do you bring what you've attained in your life to where you want to be and where you are now, and make it useful to you so that nothing is wasted? So each one of us has a responsibility that we bring to our spiritual life to know ourselves and to cultivate those emotions that hold us back. So when we go into a practice, if you make yourself that time, the place, and everything is there, and your mind you begin to see what it starts to do. It starts to wonder and doubt, well, this and that, and then you remember things that you should be doing. The mind has all these ways of tricking you into doing what it wants if you don't control it. But having a practice and making that practice so enjoyable that you do not want to miss it. So when you think of it, if you're preparing for anything, if you're preparing to meet somebody, to go out, to cook a lovely dinner, you go through all the preparation. And when you do that, you know that you're going to enjoy it. There's just something that's very special about it. When you go to your practice, do the same thing. Make sure that you have the space. Make sure that you have an attractive space for you. Make sure that it's the place you want to be at the time you want to be for the time you have put aside. So in doing that, you're giving yourself that message over and over. You'll do it for other things. It has to be for your spiritual evolution. When that starts to happen, then the things become subtler that attract you to it. If you're doing the light, you don't always want to remind yourself of the process. You want the process to become part of you and to become subtle so that the light and the actual practice becomes subtler. So if you hang on to the ritual or the mechanical habit, way you have of doing the light, or doing your mantra practice, or doing your hatha practice, then you're not allowing the subtleness to come in. And the knowledge that you gain from each practice to come forward and show you the way. So you have to find out then what is knowledge and where does it come from. And it's your own unique experience. No one can tell you what it is. No one can tell you what they like to taste or what it's like to be in love for them or what it's like to be, if you're a woman, pregnant. You can't explain that to anyone. But this is the same thing when you do your practice. No one can tell you what it's going to be like. So you have your own process, your own path to evolution. And you are responsible for keeping it alive. And the enjoyable part, the part that brings it to life is that there is something very, very definite for you, for each person, embedded within them. And as the practice comes forward, it brings forward what's there. So the tests come when the doubts roll in or the habits take over, and the teacher or your reflection then shows you the places where the light can't be reflected or the mantra vibration is stopped. So what you want to do is to not think of the tests that come as something that are like things that you don't want to hear or don't want to have to deal with. You want to be able to face them so that you can go through that into the next part of your practice. So we're always trying to find out what it is. We ask the question, like, what would it mean to be enlightened? What would it mean to be liberated? What does it mean to be spiritual? But it's very practical, really. It's very practical what happens through your day. Are you enlightened when you, how you speak to people? What's your motivation? How you deal with the interactions during the day? Are you enlightened in that way? Are you speaking the truth? Can you be honest with someone? Do you have the courage to face your limitations and move past them? Do you have a passion for life and an ability to be compassionate with other people?